What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at Fightful.com. Here with Luke and Luke Hawx. Now, I wanted to ask...
PJ Hawx. Who's man? Come on.
My bad. Okay, so I was wanting to ask you this before I asked him. Having a son that's in pro wrestling, do you think that makes it easier on him or harder on him, considering the things that you've done in your career? Does he have to overcome that, or does he kind of have a way paved for him a little bit?
I think he gets a little bit of backlash from being my son. I mean, of course,
Sure.
I got a reputation, so they wanted to know if my son lives up to my reputation. He actually precedes it, and he's a very well accomplished amateur wrestler, which I never was. And if you see him, you'll see his attitude. You see, we're similar, but we're like in a lot of ways, but we're also different in a bunch of ways. And as far as wrestling goes, it's cool for him to have the name, and I get to guide him.
Yeah.
I don't want to force him to do anything, because I want him to learn, and I want him to make his own mistakes and teach him along the way, but I get to guide him.
How about you? I mean, obviously, anywhere that you go, your father's got a name made for himself. Do you see that as a hurdle, or is that something that helps you, or maybe a little bit of both?
I'd say both, but more anything that helps. I'm my own man. I'm not Luke. I'm PJ. So I do what I do in the ring, and I do it well. But at the same time, I got a good coach, and he's built up a name for himself. So it's cool to live up to that family legacy, so to speak. And build that myself. And like I said, I'm just learning from him, and it's a great experience for me. But I have my own style. I come in there, I take people down, I pin them up, tie them up. So it's a lot different than a brawling or brashing.
Our styles are different. So, you'll see him, he's more of a grappler, and I'm more of a heavy hander.
We both kick ass, so that's the.
And he's got a nice movie career going on right now, too. Is that something that you look to get into down the line?
Well, actually, I have gotten into it. I started in about 2018, but I've been about 6 films so far. I just did The Purge and this movie called Swing a few weeks ago before we came here. But it's great, doing this between this and college and, school. It's good to be able to do stunts, learn from that, and it's another way to get into another business for me.
Yeah, he actually debuted in his first film, came out in theaters earlier this year. It was called Simplify.
Nice. So when he was being a standout amateur wrestler, did you kind of know that pro wrestling was going to be in his future? Did he always show interest?
That was always him, yeah. He always wanted to be a pro wrestler, so I didn't even push that on him. It was just something he had as a young child. It's similar to me. It's like I said, we were alike in a lot of ways, and we're different in other ways, but I knew early on that I wanted to be a pro wrestler, and so did he.
Did you find that transition natural? Because, obviously a lot of the more polished pro wrestlers came from that amateur background. How did you find that helped you? And was that something that was always in your head? Like, hey, this is going to help me out a whole lot?
Very, very much so. Once I got in the ring, training came very naturally to me. And, I grew up around the business, too. I've been around it since I was a baby. So, it was cool. I've always watched it, but, it's different between watching it and doing it. And, but I picked up pretty quickly, so to speak. And, but I wasn't always the toughest kid when I was younger. So I knew that I needed to get tough to get into this business. I knew it wasn't easy. And I know him, what he had to go through. It was a lot, and he had to go through a lot. He was very tough. He did a lot of death matches when he was younger. And I just knew if I couldn't just be a little kid, and so I had to grow up, and it made me grow up both physically and mentally, especially up here, and that's where it all takes, like a step in the ring. I don't care if a guy's bigger than me, stronger than me, faster than me, but if you have a good mentality, you can beat anybody. It's the same thing on the mat, and you got to translate that to the ring.
When you were teaching him about fantasy football, did you just skip that lesson altogether?
Yeah, well, I haven't taught him about fantasy football yet.
Yeah,
So.
I think that's one that you'd probably skip. You're like, you know what? Wrestling, movies, fantasy football, we're just going to kind of avoid that.
Yeah, sometimes we get our ass kicked, because the thing about fantasy football, not family football, fantasy football, is you can't politic your way into it. If your players get hurt, you're screwed.
Now when Disco Inferno is your commissioner, at the very least, I'm smelling some collusion here. PJ, let the people know where they can follow you on social media.
You can follow me at PJ_Hawx at Instagram, Twitter, and PJ Hawx at Facebook. And then if not, look us up at Wildcat Sports, Wildcat with a K. Yeah. And that's on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook as well.
Obviously, you got Wildcat Sports rocking. Let them know where they can follow you on social media.
Everything is at Luke Hawx 504. That's HAWX at Luke Hawx 504. Check me out. I'm on all forms of social media. And again, follow the Wildcat page.
Until next time, guys, we're out.